Bark. Heck. Bjork.
Right.
Like, I wanted to do a lot of the side stuff in FF10. I still haven't beaten
God.
FF10 because I want to do the side
I-
stuff.
Thank
I got
fuck for
to
save
Nobody
states.
can agree what to do fucking first. So
I
I'm
got-
like,
I managed to get to Leska, I think her name was. Like this is near end game. Like I didn't fight Sin, but well,
Wait,
finally.
isn't there someone named Yuna in FF10? Then who's Yuna
yes.
Leska's like the first.
Yunaleska
summoner.
was the first Yuna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy,
Yeah,
did they
it's-
just name? So wait, when the child is born and they name her Yuna,
Okay.
they're condemning her to be a summoner?
Actually, yes. Like that's like a huge
Yeah,
part of
it's
the plot.
awful.
Is and
Yeah.
you know the whole
Yeah,
thing
it's
about
awful.
like in
Don't
FF10.
forget,
Spoiler
don't
alert:
forget, her
summoners
father.
are like totally meant to die, like legit, straight up sacrifice themselves.
Or something.
And they were
I remember that
naming
most
her
of the
after
characters
the
are dead,
first
everyone's
Jesus
supposed to
character.
die,
But-
nothing works.
Yeah, they were purposely making people just repeat the cycle just to create more sins because
Mhm.
basically one of the guardians becomes Sin every cycle. With
Oh, this is
summoner
gonna
dying.
end so badly. Holy shit. Holy shit.
The difference in
With-
in visuals always throws me off.
Okay, cool. 418 damage.
Oh, that's a small.
This is also the thing that was the second. This is the enemy that was the second to last. Like, well, it was the mini boss right before the end boss gauntlet of Acelis' scenario. So it has like multiple thousands of HP. This is great. It's totally optional too, but fuck me, right? Fuck it, just kill me. Do some hit all and just kill us all.
See, Firebeard, I got lucky.
Give me the
Because,
death beast that a.
T60
By
falls
the
apart.
time I fought Yunaleska, I had gotten the fucking whatever item you can mix with Riku, like the wings of three, something
yeah.
like that. And holy shit!
Well, here's the thing with me, like Final Fantasy X
So
was
cute.
Final Fantasy X was actually like.
Oh, there it
Final
goes.
Fantasy- Like to kind of understand where I come from with how I used to play RPGs back then, like JRPGs. Like the first Final Fantasies 10 and 9 were the first one that I ever played in my life.
Yeah.
Like I played them at the same time.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really know about the concept of side quests, side missions, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So I never really knew to look around because basically the games I played before then were like Crash Bandicoots.
Oh yeah, very straightforward.
Oh yeah. I mean, granted, I had my sister help me find the damn secret
What?
gems, but you know.
What the fuck is this? What is that? Is that
Like,
that fucking?
yeah.
Did I just find a Metal Gear? Is this that thing that they were building in fucking Final
this a
Fantasy
gun-
X,
this is a
fucking
Megazord.
X2?
Metal
It's like
Gear.
that thing. The framing is like that thing they were building in fucking Final Fantasy X2, the game we would wish
Metal
just didn't
Gear.
exist.
Final
Oh,
Fantasy
yeah.
X2, you mean what's it?
At the
Charlie's
Hot
Angels
Shot
edition?
Run.
No. It's no. Is it X2 the shit? What's that game about?
So Mondo's literally in a
Hot
Metal
Shot.
Gear.
No,
Oh, go on.
being a school idol.
What?
Yeah. Do you mean
No?
the same idol thing?
There's
Where
way
basically-
Yeah.
too many.
Yeah, that was 10. That was 10 to S2, but that was like a job description thing.
Look at this
Like,
No,
thing.
I thought the whole game. I thought the whole game was basically just like your three Hatsune Miku clones do a
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
So-
Well, the intro
sorry.
is the intro is Yuna as like a fucking idol, and the bonus unlockable class is mascot, which is kind of like that shit. But yeah, and it was super clown shoes. It starts off with Yuna singing like a goddamn pop idol, and I think she was like in universe she became a pop idol after being a summoner, and I'm like, all right, this has gone way too fucking far. Also, this
No, it
this
hasn't. It
Centaur
hasn't
When
Metal
gone
Gear's
Persona
got to
does
melt
it, it's
me.
okay.
Regardless, well, Personas is always bonkers.
Yeah.
When Rise
9.
shows up in Persona 5 on billboards, everyone's like, "Well, I'm glad she's doing well for herself."
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that it takes place in, I don't know, actual Tokyo,
Yeah, first of all, yeah.
Wait, you
it
mean-
helps a bit.
Are you trying to tell me that Rise Kuchikawa is a real person?
No.
Fuck.
I hope not, or that poor person is got to have a lot of creepy ass stalkers. I'm just saying.
Oh my god, wait, hold
That's
up. Is
just
this gonna
idols in
actually work?
general.
No way. No way in hell. Like, it's looking like I'm taking damage I could almost manage. So I'm curious.
Why are you fighting a Zoid's reject?
I don't know. It's totally a Zoid's
Why
reject, though.
not?
Like, look at this piece of shit. Oh, come on. Don't
It's
kill
a
Captain
really,
Hamilton.
really bad
She's too
Zoid's
cool.
reject before they painted it for the models.
Look, just get the Zero Jaeger. You'll be fine.
Oh, look. Our useless son learned double slash for a whopping 8 damage. This fucking, like...
Useless son learned not quite as shitty attack.
With his fucking, like, 50-cent flea market pocket knife made out of sick Chinese steel, doing a whopping 8 damage to this goddamn Metal Gear.
So
Yeah.
proud of
It's a
him.
Malasong made out of pot metal that he got from the flea. He's
Yeah.
already cut himself 5 times just trying to open it.
Trying to do
It's fine.
butterfly knife tricks with it, and it's not even a fucking butterfly knife.
No,
His hands are covered in bandages.
no, I'm just making this blue. Days to go alone. Take this. You've acquired a spork.
Real titanium.
Oh no, you trampled my robot boy.
68 surgical steel, man. Just because that's
Well-
engraved on it doesn't mean it is, buddy.
Oh,
Wow,
God.
okay. So yeah, I'm gonna get hosed here. But it's interesting that at Battle Rank 1, the bosses are scaled almost appropriately. Almost.
What's that dead starfish in the background?
Oh, that was Ricky, the little, like, cute green monster boy we had. Monsters have a weird
Ricky was a
mechanic in this
starfish?
game. Not always.
Use a gun. Just use a gun. Just wave it at the boss and say, "I've got a gun. Nobody move."
I'm summoning a gun.
Fuck.
Just hold it to Loot's. Just hold it to Loot's head and say, "If you don't give up right now, the musician gets it."
Shit. That's good. That's real strong. Okay, so we're gonna roll that one back real hard
Okay.
here. So we're not going there yet. I don't even think we're gonna talk
Fair enough.
to the captain yet, because holy shit.
I like how Wiped Out is in rainbows. That's nice. It gives it a little
Yeah.
bit of a happy feeling.
Yeah, a little bit.
Congratulations, you're free of this mortal coil.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
I wonder
God,
if somebody's
finally.
gonna let me on anyway. Yeah, it's the Captain Mondo Cooler. Just
Bloody cool, dude.
y'all remember fucking Mondo Coolers?
Is that like Ecto Cooler?
They were those drinks you always got. Your mom always packed in your fucking lunches. They're little like translucent plastic
like-
bottles of like colored
like
sugar
Capri
water.
Oh, those things.
You like a pre-sub?
Oh no, Mondo Cooler. No, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like that. They're like the semi-opaque bottles.
And the
they have
cap-
no labels.
The cap was super 90s cool, and it looked like it should be some sort of flying thing, but it was just
Yeah. It looked like a wing. It looked like a Kilrathi ship from Wing Commander.
or like a fucking or like if Cobra Commander like rebranded, it totally could be a thing. Yeah. Did you know you could
Just
flip
named
those
Cobra
over
Cooler.
and jam the nub in the hole as like a way to reclose the bottle? Do you know that's
Yeah,
what
it was
that's
like
for?
Ghetto Ramune, sort of.
Yeah. I like that you
Ghetto
say
American
Ramune.
failure Ramune.
I love when my Narutos drink their Ramune.
Oh yes.
God.
Fuck
Excuse
me.
me. It's Naruters. It's Naruters.
Oh fuck! Stop that! Just fucking stop that! Narutos.
I'm actually really sad that I never had.
Naruto's the news outlet.
Naruters. Naruters
Um,
are plumbers that are into anime.
Fuck. Sorry. God, that's good. So you're saying Naruto Rooter. All right, this has gone too far. What you're saying, Vexus?
Do the Naruto rotation.
God, that's bad. Because I think to get
Yeah, it is.
I think to get Gen, I have to have an actual reason to want to go to Wakatu. Not just be warned about like, yeah, that place got bombed to shit.
Not just I want to see the cool nuke ghosts. That's not a good enough reason. Fuck.
No, it's really not. Fucking disaster tourism.
Sam.
I want to go look at the Superfund site, Mom.
I need a fucking one day.
$5 so I can take the bus.
I need a 1 day special ticket to fucking Haiti.
I need bus money so I can go to Hunter's Point and look at the low income housing.
I need to
God.
control
I
the
need to do
raging
it. I need-
spirit that dwells within me.
I need to go look at the low income housing for a paper I'm writing for high school. Oh god, there. I swear, I remember there was some fucker in my high school who did that. He was,
Oh,
we were
no.
supposed to, like, write
Oh,
papers
boy.
on architecture or something, and he like
Ugh.
wrote a paper on the essential depressingness of low-income housing or something, and it was just like, oh, gross, dude. What the fuck? Like,
Couldn't
what
you
is
just-
this shit?
couldn't
Can't you
just,
just
like,
pick a church like everybody else?
Well,
Yeah.
Jesus,
well, I mean,
man.
was he legit about it? Like,
Fuck no.
oh, fuck that.
He was some
He-
dumb. He was some
he's a high
dumbass,
school.
rich,
Oh.
white bread high school student.
Fuck
like,
that shithead.
no shit.
Because I was gonna say, I mean,
No
it could
shit,
be, it could
man.
be like that
No
time.
shit.
It could be like that time in my macroeconomics 101 class that I had to take as a prerequisite, basically.
You mean Voodoo
We-
Economics 101?
Yeah, we had to give a presentation. Yeah, basically, we had to give a presentation. So I was like, well, so let's examine the trade relations between U.S. and Turkey and how we buy ISIS-plundered oil that they took from Iraqi Kurdistan. I'm like, oh shit.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
good.
So
I don't think your
so I
professor liked that
immediately-
very much, did he?
She did actually. She wasn't.
Oh,
she was a
good.
professor who got like basically shanghaied from something else to teach.
Economics with the content?
No, she wasn't. She wasn't an she wasn't an economics
Oh,
professor
okay.
at all. That's why she was.
That
She was their social
okay.
media professor. But it turns out she had a great disdain for the subject matter too. She just got shanghaied into teaching it because apparently it really doesn't take a whole lot to teach. And so I got
most
to
of
give this
macroeconomics is mostly
incredibly.
bullshit, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got to give this like incredibly fucking communistic fucking presentation. I'm like, hell yeah, the class time is agitprop time now.
I remember taking I took a year off in the middle of college because I had mental issues for a
Mhm.
year, and I
Big same.
was taking classes at my local community college at that point, and I decided to take an econ class because they didn't really offer econ at my college. And I was like, oh, I wonder what this is like. And I remember taking this econ course, and about a month or two into the term, the professor was explaining some economic formula, and I remember raising my hand and going, so how do we know that this is the right formula for this whatever this is? Like, how do we know that this is correct and that it works? Like, did people do studies on this? Was there some kind of research done on it?
Oh shit.
And there was this sort of brief silence where he sort of cocked his head at me and he was like, we'll talk after class. Next question.
Okay. Straight up. Did you ask, like, well, how do you know when you're supposed to start applying those Keynesian adjustments? Because as like a math nerd, I remember the exact thing I called bullshit on when I noticed it, is that literally where you start applying Keynesian adjustments to supply and demand curves is where the model stops being correct. So it's literally two mathematical models that are completely incomplete, just wildly fucking incomplete and inaccurate, and you just by feel to make the graph look more accurate, where it starts being wrong, where the predictions start being wrong, there you very selectively apply the fucking Keynesian adjustments to the model. That's totally fucked. Scientifically, that's fucked and completely incoherent.
Economic theory is, in my opinion, the greatest example of Texas marksmanship that exists right now.
So now we should be able to recruit again. By the way,
most economic theory is a lot of people looking at incomplete data of the real world and then making up a mathematical model that explains it in a way that lets them continue to justify doing exactly what they were doing before.
It's a lot. Economics, well,
it has no real factual basis.
Let us say capitalist economics. Anything that seems to have, the economics you get taught, like nowadays at a school you'll pay for in America, incoherent economics, that tends to be capitalist apologist as fuck. No, to no one's surprise, is a lot like...
I wouldn't even call it apologism. At this point, I'd call it more religion than anything else, because it flies in the face of
free market mythologists. Yeah. It tends to be a lot like political spectrums, in that they're completely meaningless and always deeply reductive, but they say a lot more about the people putting the iteration of the model together and what that person wants to say with it than it does about the actual subject explicitly. Like, horseshoe theory says a lot about liberalism and what it thinks is fucking reality and what it wants you to think, more than it says about anything that's actually on the horseshoe, or the horseshoe they want to pretend is real.
Yeah, models are usually best at disclosing the implicit bias of the model creator and less good at predicting any actual behavior of something.
Yeah, straight up.
Which is why it pays to be very, very, very careful whenever somebody says they have, quote, a neural network or some kind of learning model about something, because that is so deeply, deeply, deeply connected to the bias of the people that are running the model.
Yeah, straight up. It's like,
by the way, if you guys have...
they think, oh, we're doing lots of empirical info gathering all at once because we have multiple, brains doing multiple things. So we just take the consensus of those. It's like, well, you still picked them based upon what you thought would be useful.
Yeah. And also, even when you're creating a model, it's impossible to have a truly unbiased model. There's always some human deciding what data is going to be gathered and what data is not going to be gathered from any given data set. There's always some data you say, like, for example, one controversy that occurred in California recently was that court systems were thinking of adopting a particular modeling software to see whether people were more or less likely to violate bail or violate parole. And thus it would set bail and parole restrictions based on, quote, an empirical model of the subject's likelihood.
I remember this one. I remember reading about this.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was incredibly goddamn racist.
Yeah.
The automated system they were using.
Yeah, I was about to say,
it was incredibly biased. It was incredibly biased, but the reason it was biased was because it was only data from one small southern town over a 6-month period.
Holy shit.
And they cut out all the data that they didn't like from the model. So if you look at the data set they use and you look at the model, they agree with each other very well, but the data set is compromised from the outset. The model's compromised from the outset.
Oh yeah, straight up.
So nothing is worthwhile about it. But it's scary how difficult it is to actually get people to understand that.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen Person of Interest before, I would highly recommend watching it. I started watching it the other night, and it's a very interesting show. I can see it's going to get into a lot of the implications of behavior modeling through AI and simulations very, very quickly. Because the basic conceit is that this guy, this sort of techno-utopianist, writes an AI that using every possible method of surveillance in the entire United States together, can discern, can find out who's a terrorist and who's not, and all this stuff, and he builds it for the government.
Sounds like Minority Report redux.
Well, no, it's better than that though, because he specifically teaches the system. He realizes he has to teach it to ignore potential indicators of violent crime or other stuff that aren't terrorism, because those would confuse the issue, and you can't give the FBI information about a guy that's about to rob a liquor store and murder someone tomorrow. You need to give them information about the guy that's about to, bomb somewhere. So he deliberately codes it to remove those. Then he has a sudden crisis of faith where he's like, wow, I actually know that there's all these people out there who are going to be hurt, killed, or abused, and my system literally just says, we don't give a shit about you, you're not important. And so then he takes it upon himself to sort of form a little vigilante organization that uses that data that the machine throws out and goes after them and, helps them. But I can see the future in this series, and I can see that very quickly someone is going to start asking the really awkward question. has the machine ever gotten something wrong? And of course he's going to say, no, of course it's never gotten anything wrong, but it's going to get something wrong.
Oh yeah,
Pretty
totally.
soon.
Yeah.
So
It'll get something wrong, and then someone will be like,
I know.
so how did
Look
you
at
program
Rouge.
this to look for these images? How
Mhm.
did you program this to look for
Man.
these violent tendencies? Whatever. What's your criteria here?
It's like, oh well, I just took some statistics from Stormfront.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Don't worry. They scanned the photos for anyone that looks suspicious.